The hair transplant industry is hiding a dirty secret from you. 40% of the clinics in Turkey, the most popular destination on earth for this procedure, are straight up black market operations. Not licensed, not regulated. Somebody who's not a doctor is putting their hands on your scalp and in your scalp. And people are making this decision by asking strangers in a WhatsApp group. And if that creeps you out, good. Yikes. It should. But what if someone built a marketplace that flew to every clinic, vetted every doctor, and handed you a white glove experience for 15% on top of a price that's still 90% cheaper than in the States? That's not disruption, that's a rescue mission. So are you building something safe because it scales, or are you building something necessary because nothing else exists? Welcome to AI for Founders, I'm Ryan Estes, and this interview is for founders who want to see how to spot a broken, fragmented, community-driven market and turn it into a trusted global platform. My guest today is Francesco Hayes, co-founder of Luxxera, and he's going to show you how to crack a dual-sided marketplace, qualify supply in an industry where bad supply can literally hurt people, and use live stream surgery as a go-to-market strategy. And a plug for the newsletter, the AI for Founders newsletter is where the sharpest operators go to stay one step ahead. If this kind of thing fires you up, you belong there. Head to aiforfounders.co and join thousands of founders who are building smarter. Subscribe today because your competition probably already did. And if this episode hit different, drop us a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Your words help others find the show. And finally, if you want to land on dream podcasts without spending months chasing cold leads, Kitcaster.com is your unfair advantage. Kitcaster is a premier podcast booking agency that places founders, executives, and experts on the exact shows where their ideal customers are already listening. They handle the outreach, the pitching, the scheduling, so you can just show up and deliver value. Go to kitcaster.com and get booked today. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. Francesco, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Ryan.
Excited to talk to you. I don't know if I've spoken to anybody in luxury beauty, so this will be my first time. So let's just jump right in here. Your company is Luxxera.com. That's Luxxera with 2 X's, Luxxera. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so we're a medical tourism company where we help connect people with clinics around the world. Right now, we're focused on cosmetic-based procedures, so like hair transplants, neck lifts, but eventually the plan is to get into more serious routes such as like dental, eventually IVF. We're focused really on helping provide quality clinics for people because right now the market's very fractionalized for individuals to find these clinics. A lot of people don't really know how to go about it, yeah, it's a growing industry. And what we do is we make sure that all that information is just on one site versus you going on Reddit or joining what a lot of people do is they join WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups to make these life-altering decisions.
100%. So basically, pain point is I am concerned about my hairline. I want hair transplants. And everything I've heard online is that Turkey's the place to go, or Mexico, that basically you can get a great deal financially, plus you get like kind of 5-star service when you kind of travel for these kind of cosmetic procedures outside of the States. So what you're providing is like, hey, let us qualify the best places and make it an easy onboarding process for you. Is that a good summation?
Yeah, essentially, because right now, like it can be very messy. Like, everyone's aware of Turkey right now, especially with hair transplants. People are traveling from all over the world to go get them because you can get them done for like $2,500 to $5,000, which like compared to here in the States, you're looking to spend at least $50,000 after they add on all the things that they normally hide from you, such as like anesthesia and a bunch of other stuff. But the issue is that 40% of those clinics in Turkey are black market clinics. And not many people are aware of what to look for or what to find to kind of help differentiate what's a black market clinic versus like an actual clinic. And there are other different things that are kind of different that might throw people for a loop. Like a lot of the clinics over there in Turkey, like there's some exceptional doctors there, But a lot of times they're not going to be these quick ones that you see people often go into. Those are normally what we like to call in the industry as hair mills, which are like these 24/7 clinics that are getting people in and turning them out really quickly. And a lot of times it's not even a doctor who's performing the surgery on you.
Yikes. So talk to me about the qualification. How do you find the clinics?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a board. Like one of our founders is a doctor. Um, Dr. Mokakis is over here in London. He runs a clinic here. He's dealt with, you know, actors from Marvel, and he's been on BBC a couple times. He's a well-respected in his field. We also work closely with different surgical groups such as like ISHRS, FUE Europe, different organizations that do a lot of the validation for these doctors, because you can't be a part of them unless you reach certain qualifications. It's very much a peer review kind of validation system, which is kind of how the US runs their doctors approval system too. And so we work very closely with them. And through that, we've been able to come up with a process where we work closely with those doctors, and they send us these recommendations. So we're working with doctors who are pretty much already working with others. They send us these recommendations. We'll fly out ourselves a lot of the times to go to these locations. Like literally, just last week we were in Thessaloniki, Greece, and we were checking out a clinic there. And just to like make sure that obviously like outside of them being an actual doctor and checking and verifying their process, but also making sure that's like a nice area, it's safe, and that, you know, verifying that they're doing their part, you know, to making sure that people traveling there are being taken care of. It's a little bit of a tedious process. That's kind of what makes this industry hard to kind of get into, especially if you're not cutting any shortcuts, but it's needed. Like there are people who, like I said before, who are making these life-altering decisions, and you know, you want to mitigate as much risk as possible, and sometimes that can be a bit tedious in the beginning.
100%. No, I totally get it. I mean, black market Turkish doctor sounds like somebody with a cool hat and like he's eating a sandwich, and you're like, oh man, what? Did I come halfway across the world? This is scary. You don't want to be in that position, right? You need a concierge. Someone's gonna be like, no, we got boots on the ground. We know where you're going is good. So give me kind of an overview. What are some of the destinations? You mentioned Greece.
Yeah, so right now we're focused on Greece. Turkey is a great market. Like we will sometimes recommend people to Turkey, but not on our website. Right now we work closely with Greece. Part of that being that Greece is actually one of the top destinations for cosmetic-based surgeries. It's just it doesn't have that market, that loud market that Turkey does, because Turkey kind of set the foundation for medical tourism, where they were kind of the pioneers for it, in the sense of how to market for it, how to set certain expectations, but that doesn't mean that they were like the best to begin with. It just they knew how to market it and get it going. And so with us, like we work with clinics in Athens. We have some places over in Rhodes and Thessaloniki, Greece. And we work very closely with a handful of clinics. Right now, we're a startup. So we've been in business for about a year now, and we only onboard a handful of clinics. So right now, if you sign up, you'll be recommended like 2 out of our 5 clinics. And part of that is because they're already we want to make sure that like you're not stuck with like analysis paralysis per se with a lot of these clinics, and you're just given what results best fit based upon your assessment. You know, you'll go on the website, you'll fill out a form, you'll talk to a chat, different stuff like that. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
And then what's the business model? I mean, this is a marketplace somewhat. How are you guys getting paid? This episode is brought to you by a dangerous idea. It's called Reading, specifically the AI for Founders newsletter. 47,000 founders strong now, and it's the good stuff. No top 10 AI tools that will change your life written by someone who doesn't ship product. It's just real breakdowns of what's actually working in AI. Who's raised, who failed, who pivoted, and which founders quietly built $1 million in ARR while everyone else was arguing on X. It's written for people building with AI. Every week you get tactical frameworks, unfair advantages, breakdowns of real companies, and the occasional existential question about whether your startup is intelligent or just well-branded. It's free, it's sharp, it might mildly offend your current workflow. Go to aiforfounders.co and subscribe before your competitor does. Because the only thing worse than being replaced by AI is being replaced by a founder who reads. That's the newsletter at aiforfounders.co. Now back to the show.
Yeah. So essentially, like, it's free for the clinics to come on board because, this is a podcast with a lot of founders, so they kind of understand the whole chicken and egg situation when it comes to dealing with the marketplace, with dealing with dual-sided. So we have our patient side, and then we have our clinic side. And so, and you kind of have to keep both balanced relatively well. One moment you'll have like too much demand, and you're like, okay, now we need to work on getting more clinics. But in the beginning, we, what our process is we made it free for the clinics to get on board. So clinics, they don't have to pay anything. They just get on board. They use our systems, our booking system, our payment processing system. Everything's kind of all in one shot for them. Because we're trying to help streamline this, because right now, a lot of this is just run through WhatsApp for a lot of these clinics, which isn't sustainable, and yet they make it work at scale, which is kind of impressive for these people who are just running like 2,000 procedures a year kind of thing. And so, but obviously that could be better if they had a system in place that would make it easier for them. And that's kind of where Luxxera comes in. How we make our funds is we charge a fee to the patient. So this varies based upon things. Right now we're starting out at like 15% on top for the patient. So based upon your procedure, that 15% would be thrown on top. Very transparent. It's very much like an itemized invoice, very clear on kind of what you're getting and what's being charged. And part of that reason that's being added on the patient side is because we're taking care of a lot for the patient, right? We're finding these clinics. We're making sure that like they're taken care of throughout their entire journey. This almost like this concierge white glove service for them, getting rid of all that risk.
So you said 15% on top of the cost of the service from the provider.
Yeah. So if I get quoted like, $2,000 for a procedure, and this clinic for some reason has like a 10% fee because we dynamically apply it based upon the clinic, you'll pay an extra $200 on top of that. Oh, for 3,000.
Oh, wait, is it 15% or 10?
Oh yeah, well, 15%, but it can vary from 10,
okay.
15. I was saying 10% in that example.
Not to get
for easier math.
on you with it.
You're good. No, yeah, you're good.
Cool.
You're good. Yeah. I mean, we have this model to where it's very, it's surge pricing is the name of the model that we're planning to eventually do, especially like during different times of the year. For example, like, during the winter, people don't want to get a hair transplant during the summer. They oftentimes want to get that during the winter when they can stay inside, heal. And a lot of other procedures will do that. So that's kind of the plan there.
So you're building kind of a CRM system for these clinics overseas, and I'm assuming there's probably a percentage of merchant service processing, and then a 10 to 15% commission on top for basically delivering them clients. That seems like a very reasonable rate. If I'm the clinician, I'd be like, dude, this is great. Sign me up. And a great value from the customer side where you're like, yeah, totally. I'd pay a 15% just to make sure that I'm not ending up in a back alley bathtub,
Yeah, exactly. And obviously if something goes wrong, like, you have someone there for you. Not everyone's used to traveling outside the country. And we kind of, because like one of our biggest goals really is to become a knowledge base. You can be a marketplace and that's great. But what really helps establish that trust is being a knowledge base, especially for an industry where there really isn't one right now. And so one way of us like establishing that trust is just being like, hey, we're there for you the entire way. Very stereotypical kind of customer service.
Yeah.
End.
Why'd you decide on hair transplants as the first treatment options?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot because there's a lot out there, right? There's a lot of different treatments that people can get. Um, but it honestly just felt like the right time. So it came down to timing. A lot of people are traveling right now to get hair transplants. And then two, it's one of the safest
Yeah.
procedures you can have done. Um, there's a very low like rate of death compared to other procedures. It's not like getting like a BBL where, you know, your chance of dying is relatively high, especially if you're traveling and then getting on a plane. There's way more that can go into it. And obviously from a startup standpoint, we want to make sure we're starting off on the safe route, learning as much as we can with this process and then taking it and applying it to more serious
Yeah, no,
procedures.
that makes sense. Because the
Yeah.
other procedures, you think of BBLs, you're thinking breast augmentation, you're thinking liposuction. All those are fairly invasive, whereas with hair transplants, it's,
Yeah.
kind of topical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have the option to be put under if you want to, but a lot of these procedures are done awake. They numb the top of your head, um, and they perform the surgery, and you kind of just like lie there and you're talking, and it's very, very relaxed, not a very invasive
Yeah,
surgery.
cool. What about
Yeah.
kind of what's the other medical tourism is like stem cells and things like that are hard to get? Is there a big demand for that?
I mean, with stem cells, I think eventually there is one of the ones that we're actually looking at that we think there will be more of a higher demand is honestly
Mhm.
IVF. Um, IVF right now in the States can run you $70,000. Pretty high. Some insurances cover it, some depending on the state that you live in, like whether it's Utah or California. Some employers will even cover it for you, depending on where you work. But even then, there's still deductibles. There's then a bunch of other things, and the success rate isn't like 100%. So oftentimes people will be going back a second time or a third time. I think the success rate varies by age. So, but like if you're like in your 20s and you're getting IVF, you're looking at like a 60 to 70% success rate. And then that slowly starts to drop as you get older. And so you're looking to spend like, if it goes wrong the first time, that's another 60,000 out of pocket. And insurance often doesn't cover the second or third time, depending, obviously varying on services, insurances, but most won't. And so with, fertility rates and a bunch of other things being a huge concern nowadays, we're seeing that as a huge, potential for the future. We actually just met with one of the largest hospital units throughout in Greece, and we met with their I guess their IVF section of the hospital, and to get a procedure done there, it's around $5,000,
It's huge.
which is like absurd. Yeah. Now, the top, like, if anyone's listening who's kind of like into this, top place that people will often go to is Spain for IVF. IVF is one of the top places, or Spain is one of the top places to go for IVF. And you're looking around for similar prices there. But Greece is another spot. I think they rank third as one of the top locations that people would travel to. But one thing that like people have to be careful about also, and this is where Luxxera would come in, is that a lot of these stats can be easily skewed in the sense of just like, you know, is the success rate based upon, is it just like a mixture of ages? Is the success rate based upon, oh, this is like whether it's a donor or a non-donor? All these things come into play, but you won't find them on any public stat, at least not that we've
Yeah.
been able to find. And when we've talked with hospitals, that's been one of their biggest concerns with communicating that to patients.
Well, I would speculate that the reason why Spain's so popular is because people go there to get those Spanish donors. You know what I'm saying? I know, give my wife the option.
Dude.
She'd be like, "Oh, what about him? Does he play soccer? He's
Yeah, he's
6'4".
pretty handsome. Get that nice tan.
Exactly. Cool. Amazing.
No,
Okay, so you
yeah.
guys are about a year old. How did you finance the project?
Through private connections. So this Nick, my co-founder, this isn't his first venture. He's a second-time founder, and I've worked on other startup projects when I ran my agency, and so we were able to meet with different friends, family, and past connections, and be able to, we managed to raise about $500,000 in private funding.
All right, any plan for a true seed, or how's runway?
Yeah. So we just ran our first transaction just a couple weeks ago. And so
congrats, man. First customer?
Incredible. Yeah. Yeah, no, and it was actually really good. Like we learned a lot, obviously, when you go through that process. You have a bunch, because like up until that point, it's really just assumptions. I mean, you can do as much testing and gathering data as much as you can, but it really doesn't compare to when you're actually running the product through with someone that's just an actual customer and not like a friend or family. And it was kind of cool because we learned that our assumptions played out incorrectly positively. Like we ended up making more. We ended up learning that like this is we ended up learning that like hair transplants have a recurring value to where like if you have certain Norwoods, you're gonna have to come back a second time. And obviously learn some other stuff like regarding products, like, okay, we need to fix that, we need to do that. Things that we, were intuitive for us, but like for the clinic, not necessarily, or for the patient, not necessarily. And you don't really see it until like you're watching their face go through it.
Incredible. So you've got proof of concept with one customer, which is amazing. Now, how are you thinking about going to market aside from podcast interviews? What does go to market look like for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So right now we're really focused on content with like TikTok and social media. So we have a videographer who's very talented. And we've been just pumping out as much content as we can. And that's been bringing in a lot of leads from there. I think our next biggest point is honestly this live stream. If we're live streaming a surgery, a neck lift, our co-founder Nick is having the procedure done. It'll be March 27th. We'll be releasing launch page where people can join the group and register for it here soon, and that'll kind of be how we're going to go about it. We're really focused. Like there's this saying where I can't remember who I was talking to who said it, but they were pretty much just like marketing's dead, and like what really drives go to market is having these communities, especially in a space at least like for medical tourism where it's already very community driven. Like there are WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups with hundreds of thousands of people, and they're active, and they're run by either doctors or clinics, and people are just giving each other suggestions in there. Now the problem with them is that like you have people who are like paid for referrals, so they'll be like, oh, I went to this doctor, it was great, like this is how it turned out, which should never be your judgment on whether you go to a place based upon someone else's outcome. Like there should be way more involvement. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like our strategy right now. And it seems to be working. I mean, like with these videos, we're gotten a couple hundred videos with a couple 100,000 views, which has led to a good influx of leads that we're slowly reaching out to and taking through the product. But
cool.
Yeah,
how do you get to those groups? Is there a tactical technique to get to those communities?
Yeah. So, I mean, Facebook groups, you kind of just look them up, right? When it comes to the WhatsApp groups, though, oftentimes when you're searching for a clinic, a lot of times they'll have their own group. Or if you're looking at a doctor, a lot of times these doctors will have their own WhatsApp groups. And by like searching through, you just find them through their website, or maybe you run across them on like social media and you just join the group that way. They're all like open free groups. It's nothing paid.
So you just you just have to one by one go get them.
Yeah. That's kind of how people are doing it. So that's why, we're looking to start our own group, which is what this whole live stream, this group will be focused more on the live stream, but We're working with a community manager who's going to be helping us set up these groups, figure out how we go about it, because it varies based upon a lot of things. So like one of them is just like, are we going to do this by language? Are we going to do this by country? But the first bit is you just got to start with one, get people in there, and then you start splitting things off and managing those communities.
And, the assumption I'm making is your customers are 40, 50, 60-year-old guys predominantly. When you're thinking about content and platforms, how are you kind of doing that math? If I'm thinking about TikTok, although I'm on TikTok, you know what I'm saying? But like I'm there looking for sports and I'm looking for, 90 sports
Yeah.
highlights and stuff like that. So how are you kind of starting to decide like which platform with what message?
Yeah, I think, honestly, from a beginning standpoint, you kind of just, it's really easy to kind of publish on
Sure.
multiple
So
platforms
just go
nowadays,
across all of them.
especially. So just kind of, you can really like, it really then just comes down to how you're going about the format. And that maybe that's bad, but I think at least from my view nowadays, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to publish on any of them. Especially like, Facebook has its own form of Reels, Instagram has its own form of Reels, TikTok has its own form of Reels. They all have their own form of the same format. It then just comes down to producing it there, publishing it in those different areas. But honestly, yeah, like most of our demographic is actually in their 30s. And so, you know, what we found is they're relatively active on
Yeah.
TikTok, oddly enough. Um, they would get some through Facebook, but TikTok has a wider demographic than what we were anticipating. That seems to be the one that's pulling them the
You bet.
most so
Well,
far.
the TikTok algorithm is just amazing. Publishing on TikTok, one video
Yeah.
gets 27 views, the other one gets 250,000. And when you get that pop, it is just such a great feeling. Do you have any kind of insights on kind of what's led to those videos that have done maybe, hundreds of thousands of views, like what it was or the reason why maybe it popped with the algorithm?
Yeah, I hate saying it because a lot of these are very stereotypical things. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
consistency is king. Like, it's the most annoying thing to hear, I think, but that's because it's true and it takes work. It's not like some secret kind of thing. The next thing really comes down to, just figuring out with the trends. Like we found like on one of our videos, well, the first one that popped off, we used AI to generate different forms of content, different cuts. Like there was like a scene in there where uh, Nick, we had like a AI version of him talking as it was cut and showing different work done to him, and then that kind of popped off. Um, the second one that integrated AI popped off. There's different things that seem to do it, but yeah, it's the biggest thing that I can really just tell people is consistency is really king. And just making sure that your format is on point and repeatable
Yeah.
per se.
It is.
Because that there's really no secret, right? I haven't talked to anyone who's involved with like actual TikTok marketing where they've been like, oh, there's a secret
Yeah.
sauce.
Exactly. You do the best you can, you learn as you go. And yeah, one thing that's been helpful for me is just post stuff that you don't think is going to be good because what the hell do you know? It's like I'll spend an hour on a video, be like, all
Yeah.
right, let's go. Hit publish. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
200 views. Huh. And then something that's just like, just put it out there, 25,000. It's like, why? Why
Yeah.
is my punished?
And there's like, yeah, it's kind of, it's, it's the
It
most
is,
annoying
man.
thing. And because these companies are constantly
Yeah.
changing stuff, right? They're constantly, reevaluating and improving their algorithm. And one day it might work and one day it might not. There are like different things that I think can be very beneficial, like, such as like, like I know like for YouTube, like I guess a little tidbit here for YouTube. Um, the best way to launch a channel is with like a handful of videos already released versus just starting off with one and then waiting a week and then
Yeah.
releasing another one. You just release like 3 to 5, have some form of content for people to watch, and then you go on that schedule. And that's showing a huge hit for anyone who's starting to like sub-channel management, or whatever it might
Yeah.
be.
Amazing. Okay. We're entering the quantum round. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
I want to give you the founder challenge question by kitcaster.com. And let's see this. Here it
Okay.
is. What's the sketchiest growth hack you've ever used?
The sketchiest growth hack. Oh, dude. Um, dang, that's a tough one because I feel like, I mean, we do some sketchy stuff just by like trying to work with these clinics, but I mean, I'd probably say the sketchiest, I don't know if this applies to growth hack, but I guess it does because it's kind of how we first got in with some of these clinics was like we just kind of went in and posed off as just like people who needed work done at these clinics just to infiltrate and see what they were like. Like we weren't posing like as if we were interviewing them. We were just like, yeah, like I need a beard transplant. That's why I'm here, kind of thing. And they would like take us in and they show us everything. It actually works out really well because Nick is balding, so it was super easy to
Nice.
get him in. But yeah, I don't know. That's probably the sketchiest part. And then once they learned like why we were there, we always got sent over to some other guy that would just like interview us. And he was just like,
What are you
"Why are you
doing?
here? What do you want? Can we help you?" kind of
Competitor
thing. Yeah,
analysis. That's cool.
yeah,
And not
yeah.
too sketchy.
But
I don't take you as a sketchy guy. That's actually pretty smart. You gotta get in there and check people out when they're not expecting you. That's secret shopping.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. I feel like yeah, I got to be a little careful there, especially since we're not trying to be a sketchy
Yeah.
business. Healthcare is really hard to be sketchy with. I mean, there's a lot of compliances and things in place to help prevent that. That's kind of what we're trying to fight against here.
100%.
So
What kind of like
yeah,
compliance are you running up against? HIPAA stuff? Like what is the challenge with compliance for you?
I mean the biggest thing for us is GDPR, right? Mostly just starting off GDPR. We have stuff in place for HIPAA compliance, such as like different audit logs, encryptions, um, basic things. But honestly, being that we're a global marketplace, even though we're just focusing on Greece right now, it's
Yeah.
just GDPR. Um, and making sure that people have access to what they should have access to, making sure that's encrypted when it's at rest, things are logged properly. Very standard, boring things that often people forget about when they're creating these apps. But being a marketplace actually makes it relatively easy, in all honesty, because there's a lot of things that protect
Yeah.
marketplaces. Um,
Are
so
is there
yeah.
kind of guardrails in the app? Or I should ask like this, you're obviously bullish on people getting cosmetic surgeries, and I believe that everybody should get whatever they want. Are there certain people that you'd actually
Yeah.
turn away and be like, nah, man, I don't think this is right for you?
Yeah, so that's actually something that we work. I mean, that's actually one of the things that we look for when we're looking at clinics. Um, so we work with some of the top doctors in the world, like Kelsadakis and oh gosh, I'm spacing his name. But some of the top hair transplant surgeons that have like wait lists of like 8 to 12 months. Some of them are even years. And oh my gosh, I totally spaced your question
Oh,
right
who
there.
should not get the procedure? Or how do you like if I
Oh
came to
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, I
Yeah,
want my
sorry.
hairline to go just above my eyebrows, right here. This is what I want. I want to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like, I mean, by working with these doctors, like these doctors are already making a lot of money. And when we come in and we work with them, like a lot of these people are really in love with their craft. It's an
Totally.
art
Yeah.
to them. Like they're truly passionate about it. They're literally sculpting. And so, like for example, we had a patient that was running through, and they were just like, they were kind of concerned about their hairline not being far enough down, and the doctor was just straight up like, "We could do that, but like it'll do this and that." And honestly, like I don't think I'd recommend you continuing if that's where you
Yeah.
want to go. So literally they were there and he was about to turn down and just call everything off if that's what he wanted. And those are the kind of doctors that we work with. Like these are the kind of people that we want on our platform. If you go to a hair mill, if you go to someone who doesn't like, they'll, you know, they'll just say yes. Cause in the end, they just see you as a dollar versus someone who sees you more as like a painting, which is what the kind of clinics that we're wanting to deal with and working very closely with.
Amazing. If you were to go back to college and enroll as a freshman right now, what would you study?
Oh, dude, that's such a tough question, especially with AI now. Because I'm a computer science guy. I'm the CTO of this company. So I always get that question. And I was literally just back at the college that I went to speak with their head of their program for the computer science program. And I don't know, I'd probably still go with the computer science route. A lot of people might actually be like, oh, why? Like AI is going to replace software developers. But I'm very much a believer that, it's only going to increase, AI is only going to increase the need. I think it's going to slim off like those who don't really know what they're doing. But for those who do, they're going to be much more valuable. The thing that I say is just like, computer science is more than just writing code. There's system designs, there's scoping out projects, there's way more advanced things that are involved than just coding. And AI is going to be the tool for that. So, because in the end, like nobody's really safe with AI unless you want to argue about the blue collar space. Because I mean, if you're arguing like, oh, AI is taking software jobs, like, okay, AI is taking like business assistant roles. Like, why do I need them to work on that Excel sheet when I can just ask it to do it? But you don't hear anyone talking about that.
Yeah. Describe your tech stack that you're using to build the product.
Yeah. So right now, it's nothing special, nothing fun. It's just running on, which I hate to say. I mean, like anyways, it's just running on Next.js, right? And we got Mongo running as a database. Your very stereotypical setup. The most exciting thing maybe comes down to the packages that we're using within it, like TanStack, if anyone's familiar with those. And some other stuff. Payload CMS is a huge CMS. It's relatively new. It's very powerful too. And so we've just been using that. I can't say it's as exciting as like some other projects that I've worked on where we got to use some more fun stuff. But like, it's startup, it's MVP. Like you're not meant to be looking sexy. Like it's meant to be like, okay, what's going to work? What's going to be the easiest for onboarding, and what's going to set you up to either migrate or scale.
Love it.
It's not just like, oh, this is shiny.
I love it. This audience loves ideas, business ideas, new tool ideas. What are some other business ideas or tools you'd like to see brought forward right now?
I don't know. I think, there's a lot of cool tools being released. I feel like today, so many things are being made now thanks to AI. I think it'd be cool to see more implementations on the skill sides. So like, Claude has skills that can be used to help improve their LLM. OpenClaw is a huge one. I think when someone can solve the prompt injection problem, that'll be huge. And very exciting. I think that'll solve a lot of the hiccups and security problems that come with AI. So if anyone's working on any of those, shoot, that's a big feat. That's probably where I'd recommend, because no one's solving it, and people are scared to talk about it because it makes like OpenClaw obsolete. It makes a bunch of different things like unsafe to use in a real enterprise system.
Okay. How about
Yeah.
media? Any favorite shows, movies, albums, books, anything you're really excited about right now you'd recommend?
Oh, dude, I don't know, but I just went and saw Interstellar at the BFI
Ooh,
IMAX uh theater, like a true IMAX experience. And like I don't know if you're into film, but like I don't know, I can't even say that I'm really into film, but like my buddy is, and I totally get it. I like when I saw like they had an actual projectionist and you could see like the gritty film. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I get it now. It's like that meme where it's just like, I get it. And you just see how beautiful it is. Oh my goodness. I left there so inspired. I was like, holy shit, like there's just like this whole other space, like and just like art form. And it's just like that truly can only be experienced there. People say like people say like movies, like the theater industry is dead. And I'm just like, dude, after that, like that's so hard to beat. Like nothing compares
yeah.
to that. I don't know. Are you a big
You
movie
know,
guy?
I used to be, but it seems like movies suck now. You know, I mean, I feel like I
Yeah.
came in like the golden
What kind of,
era of movies because it's like that's what you did is like on Friday nights you went and rented a movie and came back and watched a couple movies and
yeah,
there was all this cool like independent film and movies were really original. But now it's just like I see what's kind of being offered. And I'm like, ugh. But I do love Interstellar though.
dude. Yeah, it's almost kind of sad. Like I see this, I think a lot of industries right now are very safe. And because of that, there's not a lot of new and excitement going on. I think, I mean, outside of AI, like, there's not much like to excitement. Like I went to DICE, which is a conference for game companies, and I met with some of the people over with NVIDIA and some of the other companies there. And like one of the things that we were talking about was just like, you know, this industry is dying. Like no one like looking around, it's just like there's like no creativity. It's the same thing. In the video game industry, it's always about live service. It's always about live service because it's safe. It's safe to get investors to do it, even though the past couple releases have been huge flops. And it's the same thing with films. Like you see these films that are trying to play it safe because no one. It's the whole saying. It's like you won't like no one will get mad at you for doing something like like no one's gonna get mad at you for doing something that's seen as safe when it fails per se. They're just like, oh, it happens. But if you do something that's like experimental, they're just like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. That was dumb. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I mean it's frustrating because now what they do with movies for Netflix or Amazon or whatever is the like dialogue is reiterating the plot like every 20 minutes because they know everyone's on their phone and kind of barely watching the show so that they want to like tell you what's going on, but it feels like you're kind of fanalizing the
Yes.
audience, so it yeah, I guess I do want to kind of like trash the cinema because we're in this low point with movies, but for TV shows, TV is better than it's ever been, and it's amazing. It seems like since Sopranos, that pendulum has kind of swung
Yeah.
towards TV because you can take so much more time to
Okay.
develop a story, which is really cool, and I appreciate that. But I do miss like a tight, great movie. We're just not seeing that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm to blame too. I mean, I don't sit down and watch movies. But
It's tough.
sit
Yeah.
me down with Ancient Apocalypse with Graham Hancock, and I'm glued to the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think shows like work out so well. It's true. Like, I don't know. I feel like this also goes into the whole, AI notion. It's tough to keep people's attention. Um, and I think that's a problem that even like a lot of founders are going to experience with whatever they're building. It's tough to keep people's
Yeah,
attention nowadays. And it's only going to get, I imagine it's only going to get
totally.
worse with just how instantaneous we're expecting things, and especially now with AI being able to pump things out so quick. Like it's effect. I mean, it can be dangerous. You got to be very careful. You gotta. because it can, I mean, just from like a developer standpoint, like, you know, use AI, but make sure that you're still understanding what it's doing, or you're going to lose
Yeah.
that skill. Um, and you just it becomes almost mind numbing in all honesty. And then I feel like terrible, like as if I just doom scrolled
Totally.
all day.
It's interesting because
Yeah.
you mentioned Interstellar, and Christopher Nolan is still a guy that he only makes movies for cinema, and he creates those completely overwhelming experiences where like you're like, yes, I will go see that movie. And he's got one. He's got what's it called? The Odyssey is coming out in July, which,
Yeah.
dude, I can't wait
Yeah.
for that. I love Christopher Nolan, man.
See that, and it's sick. And this, yeah, and that's kind of what's happening, right? Like maybe that's what we're seeing within the whole AI space is now that like, because like with film, like you only hear of a few greats, and it's those who are super passionate and know their stuff, right? Um, and I imagine that's kind of where things are heading, for, with developers with AI or whatever AI role, whatever role AI is replacing. Um, c- but you can't compete with that passion. And just like what he's doing is just like insane.
Have any chance?
Yeah.
I want to stick on Interstellar just for a second before we get out,
Yeah,
because
let's do it,
the
dude.
the Tesseract. So basically, he was able to use the Tesseract to transmit information to his daughter through space-time,
Hmm.
so she could save humanity.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was kind of cold? Like the actual Tesseract itself, like cold, I mean like devoid of like a feeling of any feeling. It was like really psychedelic and but it didn't seem like it was I guess what I was looking for is like some kind of hint of like superior um intellect and information.
Yeah.
It felt kindred to like our dimension, but it also felt kind of like mechanical and
Uh,
like empty.
yeah. I mean, it's funny you bring that up because I was literally like, I was kind of thinking about that whole dimensional area because how do you express that? Like, how do you express a five-dimensional space to a three-dimensional being or two-dimensional being or whatever, um, and allow it to still be able to interact? Like, I don't know. I think it was well
Totally.
done. I think I see what you're saying. A very like psychedelic in a sense, but I feel like that's kind of fitting for what's trying to be approached here. But I think the unknown and coldness is what almost expresses the whole superiority. It's like so like it's you're like incapable to quite understand slash don't want to be there because you
Yeah.
can't understand it because you don't belong. That's not
Yeah.
your dimension. Um, and I think that's kind of where they were trying to go. Maybe that's throwing them too much of a bone,
No,
but
maybe it's just like a
like
personal taste
yeah,
thing because it's like you can from a lower
yeah,
dimension you can only see the shadow of the higher dimension. So like three-dimensional, you just see a two-dimensional shadow, for example. So if we're
yeah,
four-dimensional beings, height, width, breadth, depth, and then time, then we can only see the shadow of it. So like when he enters, he's in that tesseract. Like that's kind of like the physical reality is the shadow that he's in. But I guess I don't know.
yeah.
I wanted there to be some like beam of light or some kind of angels in there or something cool. You know what
Angels,
I
yeah.
mean?
I actually really liked how their approach was on the whole they, this like other being out there. I thought it was very, I mean,
But they didn't really allude to it, and I couldn't
if you
tell
talk,
if there was like another presence or if it was like dude like in the tesseract
yeah,
interacting with himself and his daughter. Like was it him or was there some kind of other entity that was there that was kind of guiding the whole thing? I think there was definitely like
yeah,
somebody put it there, or something did, but they didn't
yeah.
really.
Well, yeah, because they take
Yeah.
it away, right? I mean, I think the whole point of the reason why that room was created, from what I remember, was like it was created for him to be able to interact with through gravity, which is how he was able to communicate with this daughter. But like, yeah, it was really interesting. I thought it was really cool and really inspiring in a sense of just like, I don't know, honestly, this might be a little, I guess, steering away from what we're talking about, but like, I have this conflict in my mind sometimes of just like, what's the right way to live, right? What brings like happiness? What brings joy? Um, very like, I guess, what's your philosophy of life kind of thing? And on one part of me, it's just like, just like growing old, raising a family, living on some land, walking out on some grass and just being able to enjoy what's there. And then the other part is like what Interstellar, I think, puts forward, where it's just like, okay, we're put on this earth here because we as humans, we're like explorers. We're sent here to discover what there is. And both are super like inspiring and I think can work. But after I left that movie, I was just like, shoot, dude, like, am I looking at this the wrong way? Like, should I be like this explorer who's like challenging what needs to be done and just like pushing the limits, or like, am I not fulfilling my life unless I'm doing that kind of thing? And I think a lot of founders would agree with that because, we as founders, we're trying to push and create things and do stuff. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that. I see the attraction to the other philosophy where it's just like, doing your part. And I mean, I'm here in London right now, and the lifestyle here is very different, where people just wake up, they have their coffee, they smoke a cig, and midway through the day, they go home, maybe go to the pub, and
Sounds pretty
that's
good.
life. Very, yeah. I mean, to the right person, right? It's very different, and they're happy, right? And so it's
Cool.
funny. But
Francesco, thank you for taking me down that rabbit hole. I'm stoked to think about Interstellar all day now.
yeah,
Everybody
have to
go
rewatch
to
it.
luxxera.com and sign up to see this live neck lift. I'm gonna tell my wife about it. She loves looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
Her whole feed is like all picking and like disgusting things. She loves that. Not that I'm saying that's disgusting. I'm just saying like if you're into that kind of thing, this is the
Yeah.
place to do it. Also, if you're considering, hair replacement, hair transplant, beard transplant, eyebrow transplant, scalp micropigmentation, go to Luxxera. Tell them that podcast sent you. It sounds like you're in very, very good hands. Francesco, what's the best place for people to connect with you personally online?
Probably through LinkedIn or Twitter. That's probably the best way that they can do. My Twitter handle is just Francesco Hayes _, and then my LinkedIn is just Francesco Hayes.
And we'll put all the links in the show notes below wherever you're listening to this. Please connect with them. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.